Welcome back to the Wellbe podcast. This is your host, Adrienne Nolan-Smith. I'm a board-certified holistic patient advocate, and my goal with this podcast and all of my other work with Wellbe, which you can check out at getwellbe.com, is to empower you in your health, helping you avoid chronic symptoms and diseases, and helping you heal them as naturally and holistically as possible when they do come up. This week, we're going to be talking about a gut condition known as Candida, yeast, or fungal overgrowth. We talk a lot about gut health over here at Wellbe, and rightfully so. After all, it impacts every single aspect of your well-being, both mental and physical. But often, when we speak about gut health, we focus only on the bacteria in your gut. While the balance of good to bad gut bacteria is crucial to good gut health, other microbes have an impact as well. One of those important microbes is Candida, a form of yeast that supports various bodily functions in small amounts. But when there's too much yeast in the body, things go haywire. In this episode, I'll talk about the signs of Candida overgrowth, the best Candida overgrowth treatments, the Candida overgrowth diet, and much more. Before we jump in, if you like the Wellbe podcast and haven't yet left a review or subscribed to it, please do so now. You don't even have to stop listening to this episode. Just scroll all the way down on the Wellbe podcast page in your app and click write a review. Give us hopefully 5 stars in a few words, and then press submit in the top right-hand corner, and boom, you're finished. All right, now that you've done that, let's jump into the episode. So first, what happens when there's too much yeast in the body? As I mentioned before, countless different kinds of microorganisms, known as microbes, live in your body. Taken together, this collection of different living beings is referred to as your microbiome, and its makeup has a significant impact on every aspect of your health. When we talk about the microbiome, especially the gut microbiome, because remember there's the mouth microbiome and the skin microbiome as well, most of us usually think of bacteria, but the microbiome also includes viruses, archaea, which are single-celled organisms that support various bodily functions, and fungi. One of the many types of fungi that live in the body is Candida, a form of yeast that's found in small amounts in the intestines, mouth, vagina, and skin. When your body has normal levels of Candida, the yeast causes no problems. In fact, it's downright helpful. In small amounts, Candida facilitates digestion and nutrient absorption, while also supporting your immune system and helping to maintain a good balance of different microbes. But when Candida levels start to rise and suddenly there's too much yeast in the body, problems crop up. A multitude of different factors could lead to too much yeast in the body. Because Candida resides primarily in your gut, basically anything that negatively affects your gut health could also be the trigger for a Candida overgrowth. So things like taking antibiotics, drinking too much alcohol, eating a high-sugar diet, excessive stress, or lack of sleep could all help set the stage for Candida issues. For in-depth instructions on achieving optimal gut health, you absolutely should download our free gut health guide over at getwellbe.com. If you're near a device right now, which I assume you are, go check it out. It's right on our homepage. So besides gut health, there are several other factors that can lead to Candida overgrowth. The first is a weakened immune system. Candida has been classified as an opportunistic organism because it normally only causes diseases in living beings whose immune systems have been compromised, meaning the immune defenses are down, which is an opportunity to attack, hence the name. So if you're recovering from an illness on immunosuppressant drugs, dealing with chronic inflammation, or otherwise have a weakened immune system, you're at a higher risk for Candida overgrowth. There's also diabetes, iron deficiency anemia. Then there's hormonal issues. So high levels of estrogen have been associated with Candida overgrowth, as the estrogen acts like a fertilizer for the yeast. So anything that throws off a woman's natural balance of estrogen and progesterone could lead to an increase in Candida, including taking hormonal birth control pills or other kinds of hormonal birth control, becoming pregnant, and other conditions associated with hormonal imbalance. Then there's smoking. Then there's yeast-friendly environments. Yeast thrive in warm, moist areas, so hot and humid weather can be a trigger, as can wearing tight-fitting clothing that doesn't let your skin breathe. And lastly, there's obesity. Obesity in itself doesn't lead to a Candida overgrowth, but it comes with other risk factors, including a weakened immune system and skin folds that trap moisture. All right, so what are the signs? Wouldn't it be nice if every condition mapped perfectly to a specific set of symptoms and every symptom mapped perfectly back to one and only one underlying condition? Yeah, that sure would make things easier. Unfortunately, most chronic health issues people deal with today come with a loose set of symptoms that, taken on their own, could be caused by a bunch of different things. The signs of Candida overgrowth are no different. However, by understanding the range of symptoms associated with too much yeast in your body and considering your own lifestyle and other symptoms, you can get a sense of whether a Candida overgrowth might be to blame. While the symptoms are quite diverse and you may only experience one or two at a time, these are the most common signs of Candida overgrowth. First, there's oral thrush. If a Candida overgrowth occurs in the mouth, where small amounts of Candida are naturally found, it can cause an uncomfortable condition in the mouth and throat called thrush. Thrush presents as white, bumpy patches on the inside of the mouth and throat, which can be painful and bleed when scraped. In particularly bad cases, thrush can make it difficult to swallow. This symptom is most common in the elderly or those with poor oral hygiene. Then there's thrush for breastfeeding moms and newborns. So new moms who have itchy nipples, pale-looking nipples and areolas, or white areas on the nipples and areolas, or temporary or long-lasting burning sensation in the nipples, shiny skin on or around the nipples, flakes on the nipples and areolas, and find breastfeeding painful, Candida overgrowth is worth looking into. The same goes for a newborn with white, milky patches on their gums, tongue, inner cheeks, and tonsils, which bleed easily when touched or irritated. Then they have red skin in the mouth or cracked skin in the corners of their mouth or a diaper rash that won't go away. Remember that a newborn's microbiome is very, very similar to the mother's microbiome until they begin eating solid food. So if a newborn is experiencing Candida overgrowth, it's likely that the mom has it as well. So apart from thrush, whether that's in breastfeeding moms, newborns, the elderly, or people with poor oral hygiene, there's also digestive and gut symptoms. As you likely know by now, because I talk about it a lot on this podcast, maintaining a healthy balance of microbes in your body is essential for proper digestion and nutrient absorption. So if your Candida levels get too high, it will throw off the delicate balance of your microbiome and lead to a wide range of issues associated with poor gut health. This could mean anything from diarrhea and constipation to nutritional deficiencies to more serious conditions like ulcerative colitis and Crohn's disease. Then there's fatigue. Yes, we know feeling fatigued or tired seems to be a symptom associated with so many different chronic diseases, but let me explain. Candida doesn't have any direct relationship to energy levels, but it does have other effects that in turn could contribute to fatigue. First, some of the nutritional deficiencies caused by Candida, like inadequate levels of magnesium and vitamin B6, are associated with fatigue. Also, too much Candida further weakens your immune system, which can, of course, then cause you to feel tired. Next is yeast infections, which should make a lot of sense. Since Candida is a yeast, it's probably not surprising that too much of it can cause yeast infections. Candida is normally found in small amounts on the vaginal tract of most women. And when it begins to proliferate to higher levels, a yeast infection is often the result. Then we have chronic sinus infections. Acute, short-term sinus infections are generally caused by bacteria, but fungus is often at the root of longer-term sinus infections or chronic sinus infections. One study found that 96% of people with chronic sinus infections had fungi or yeast in their mucus. Then there's skin problems. An overgrowth of Candida on the skin can result in skin problems like itching, rashes, eczema, acne, or inflamed cracked skin. A Candida overgrowth on the skin could be caused by anything that alters the skin's microbiome, including temperature, humidity, cosmetics, and personal care products, especially anything antibacterial. Remember to ensure you're only buying the cleanest, vetted, safest cosmetics and personal care products. Use the Wellbe non-toxic product database, which you can easily find at getwellbe.com. This is my go-to resource to ensure I never buy anything or spend too much time researching anything and still making sure that I protect myself from harmful chemicals in cosmetics and personal care products. Then we have nail issues. If you have a Candida overgrowth near your nail beds, the fungal infection can spread to the nails themselves, causing pain, redness, swelling, and discoloration of the nail. Then we have joint pain. Sometimes a Candida overgrowth gets so out of control that it enters your bloodstream and travels throughout your body, leading to issues in your joints. The term Candida arthritis refers to a condition where Candida in your blood leads to pain, stiffness, and swelling in your joints. Mood and mental health issues is another one. Research has suggested that Candida overgrowth is more common in people with mental health conditions, though it's unclear what the relationship is there besides that we know the gut and brain are intimately connected. Candida overgrowth also impairs absorption of micronutrients that are essential for recovery from psychiatric issues like anxiety, ADHD, and mood disorders. So having too much yeast in the body could make it more difficult to recover from or treat those conditions. If left untreated, Candida overgrowth can lead to other complications. As the Candida continues to proliferate, it will do more and more damage to your gut lining and further throw off the balance of your microbiome. With your gut health so compromised, you're at a much higher risk for developing increased intestinal permeability, aka leaky gut syndrome, which you've probably heard about in previous WellBe podcast episodes. Your immune system will also suffer. Remember that 80% of your immune system is in your gut, leading to more frequent colds, viruses, and other infections. All right, so what is the best treatment? If you're diagnosed with an overgrowth of Candida, most conventional doctors will prescribe an over-the-counter or prescription antifungal medication as a Candida overgrowth treatment. These types of medications either kill the fungus or prevent it from growing and can be quick, effective, short-term solutions, meaning they alleviate the symptom. However, this approach targets symptoms rather than the root cause of the overgrowth, which means that there's a good chance the problem will reoccur and reoccur and reoccur. Plus, medications always come with their own side effects and really don't address the environment in your body that allowed for Candida overgrowth to happen in the first place. That's why, if there's a way to reverse a condition without pharmaceuticals, we're all for it. And there is in this case. To get your Candida levels down and restore a healthy balance in your gut, try these strategies. First, stop any medications if possible. Various pharmaceuticals, from antibiotics to steroids to birth control pills, could be contributing to a Candida overgrowth. If it's possible, stop taking these medications completely or talk with your doctor about getting on the lowest possible dose. Next, take probiotics. Probiotics are a great way to promote good microbes in your body and can be especially helpful for restoring a balanced microbiome after a round of antibiotics. The probiotics Lactobacillus and S. boulardii have both been shown to be effective in Candida overgrowth treatment and prevention. Next, try aloe vera. Some research has shown that aloe vera gel may inhibit the growth of Candida, as pure aloe vera has antifungal properties. You can use pure aloe vera gel on your body if the Candida overgrowth is on your skin, or drink aloe vera juice to treat an internal Candida overgrowth. Next, you can try herbal supplements. Certain herbs have anti-yeast and antifungal properties that can help lower Candida levels and restore balance in your gut. Herbal supplements like oregano oil, garlic extract, peppermint oil, and thyme extract may inhibit Candida growth. Next, practice good hygiene. Simple daily hygiene practices ensure that your skin and mouth don't become a hospitable breeding ground for Candida. That means keeping your skin clean and dry, wearing breathable clothing, and practicing good dental hygiene like brushing at least twice a day, flossing, and also using an oral irrigator or a water pick. Remember, having good hygiene does not mean using more powerful things to clean yourself. It just means regularly cleaning yourself. So always stick to non-toxic products, which of course you can always find in the WellBe non-toxic product database over at getwellbe.com. All right, so besides all of those things, there's diet. And this one's a biggie, so let's look at it more in depth. Because Candida lives in the gut and your gut health is a direct result of what you eat and drink, among many other factors, but that's a main one, it follows that your diet can play a big role in causing and reversing Candida overgrowth. So if you think you have too much yeast in your body, what should you eat and not eat to get things back in order? Thankfully, there's some great research on the best Candida overgrowth diet, and many of the recommendations are good rules of thumb for eating healthfully in general. A win-win. First, let's talk about the foods to avoid. Because Candida overgrowth is so intertwined with gut health, Any foods that are bad for your gut could also trigger Candida issues. So that means avoiding processed foods, excessive alcohol, artificial sweeteners, and dirty red meat, or non-organic, non-grass-fed, and an excess of red meat is really generally what I think. There's also specific foods that can feed Candida and encourage it to grow, including simple sugar, aka glucose, the sugar found in many processed foods, and simple carbs like white bread, crackers, chips, etc. Another food group that can feed Candida are high lactose dairy products such as milk, cream cheese, and sour cream. In terms of what you should eat, an effective Candida overgrowth diet will include a healthy balance of whole foods that support your gut health, as well as these specific foods that have been shown to inhibit the growth of Candida. First, there's certain low fungal, low sugar fruits that contain fructose, which is a slow digesting sugar that actually limits Candida growth. I just talked about glucose, which is a different form of sugar found in processed foods and simple carbs like white bread and crackers. And while we want to avoid that, fructose is a different kind of sugar which might be okay in helping to limit Candida growth. Specifically, pomegranates contain fructose, but they also have other plant compounds in them that are beneficial in fighting off Candida yeast. Then there's garlic. Garlic contains allicin, which is an antifungal substance that has been shown to inhibit Candida yeast in studies. Then there's turmeric. Studies suggest that curcumin, the active substance in turmeric, may kill Candida yeast or at least reduce its growth. Then there's coconut oil. Lauric acid, which is found in high amounts in coconut oil, has been shown to fight Candida infections in several studies. And then lastly, there's kombucha. Kombucha is high in polyphenols, which is an antioxidant-filled micronutrient found in plants, and acetic acid, both of which have been shown to kill Candida. All right, so in summary, Candida overgrowth can be a very tricky condition to identify. However, its impact can be far-ranging, and once diagnosed, there are very effective treatments to reverse the condition and prevent it from reoccurring. Here's what to remember. First, the human microbiome is made up of various different microorganisms, including bacteria, viruses, archaea, and fungi. One of the many types of fungi in the body is Candida, a type of yeast. In healthy people, Candida exists in small amounts in the intestines, mouth, skin, and vagina. It aids with things like digestion and nutrient absorption and supports your immune system. Various factors can cause Candida levels to rise above normal, leading to a whole host of different symptoms. Common signs of Candida overgrowth include oral thrush, breastfeeding thrush, fatigue, digestive issues, mood or mental health issues, skin issues, nail problems, joint pain, yeast infections, and chronic sinus infections. A Candida overgrowth can be caused by anything that compromises your gut health or your immune system. Other risk factors include diabetes, iron deficiency anemia, obesity, taking antibiotics, hormonal imbalances, and smoking. Doctors often prescribe antifungal medication as Candida overgrowth treatment. However, there are other natural treatment options, including stopping any medications that might be contributing to it, so things like birth control, steroids, antibiotics, using aloe vera gel or drinking aloe vera juice, taking probiotics and or herbal supplements, and practicing good hygiene. But like I said, not using anything antibacterial or overwashing, just doing consistent hygienic practices. In terms of diet, the best Candida overgrowth diet cuts out food that harms gut health and promotes the growth of Candida, including refined sugars, processed foods, simple carbohydrates, and dairy. Foods that help to fight Candida include certain fruits, especially pomegranates, garlic, kombucha, turmeric, and coconut oil. Now, I want to know, have you ever experienced Candida overgrowth? How did you figure it out? How did you treat it? Let me know in the comments section on the article version of this episode on getwellbe.com, and you'll find a link in the show notes to that article. It's always so helpful to us and the WellBe community to hear when you've triumphed over something and how you did it, so please do share. Also, while you're there, become a WellBe Insider so that you can get all of our latest content, special offers, and personal notes I don't share anywhere else weekly in your inbox. Plus, you'll get a free copy of my audio guide on how to feel the best you've ever felt and heal anything the 10 things you need to optimize your health and heal any health issue, big or small, naturally. Even if you're the healthiest person out there, I promise you'll learn something you didn't know before that can help you to optimize your health. I'll see you back here next week for another episode of the Wellbe Podcast. If you haven't already and found this episode helpful or interesting, subscribe to the podcast. This way you'll never miss a new episode and they'll be delivered to you whenever we publish a new one. And please share this episode with family or friends who you think might find it valuable and informative. It means a lot and helps more people find the podcast. If you already have, then thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Once again, this is your host, Adrienne Nolan-Smith, and thanks for listening to the Wellbe Podcast.